Schisandra essential oil may not be an oil that everyone has heard of, but we keep getting requests. So we're back with a Fellowship of the Essential Oils episode when we're going to dive into this amazing essential oil that's probably best known in traditional Chinese medicine. Joining me, of course, today is Liz. How are you today, Liz?
Well, I'm excited to go through this science because there's lots of science about Schisandra, and it's not an oil that many people use, so I'm excited about it.
But it's something that I've had come up for me with my work with doTERRA, and then you started actually getting a few requests for people to talk about it as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah, just in the comments of the videos, and it was so strange actually. Somebody asked, and I said, "Oh," she said, "Is there a Schisandra essential oil?" I said, "Oh, I think doTERRA have got one," and then within a week he'd said, "Will you talk about it?" I was like, "Oh, okay, something's afoot."
Yeah, really interesting in China with doTERRA because obviously the appreciation that the Chinese through traditional Chinese medicine have of different plants and herbs. doTERRA has been experimenting of like, can we steam distill these essential oils? Now I know there's an amazing traditional Chinese medicine doctor here in Australia in Melbourne who works with the herbs but also the essential oils, and he finds that the herbs are still best for the body, but he actually finds that when we're working with the essential oil, they can have really powerful impacts on both the emotion and the spirit. And it's interesting that we love talking about the spirituality of essential oils, although today we are going to talk about how we can use Schisandra essential oil for all of the different realms, for want of a better term. Now, I guess before we just talk about the little thing in the bottle, let's talk a little bit about the plant, sometimes known as magnolia-vine. And the berry is sometimes called the five-flavoured berry, I think it is, because as you chew on it, you can actually get hints of bitter, sour, sweet, salty. What's the other one I'm missing?
Umami.
Umami, yeah. So you taste all the different flavors, with sour being the most prevalent, which is really quite interesting, isn't it, Liz?
It is. And I think that as a community, 21st century people don't really eat enough bitter foods. So I'd love to get my hands on some just to try them because I think anything that's bitter is very good for you. Very good for it, like creating an alkaline situation in your body. Very good for inflammation generally.
Yeah, I've heard some herbalists talk about if it's bitter on the tongue, it's good for the rest of the body. Sweet on the tongue, not necessarily good for the rest of the body. So it's almost like the tongue and the rest of the digestive system are at odds with each other. But yeah, an amazing essential oil. I must admit, its aroma. It's this five-flavored berry. You think it might be really interesting. It's got a very mild aroma. It's probably not one I would put in a diffuser to enjoy the aroma of it, but it does have some really great benefits. So maybe we should start off by diving a bit into the physical aspects of this oil, Liz.
Yeah, so I just want to be clear to people, I'm going entirely off of GCMS. I haven't been bestowed a bottle by Adam so far, but I'm going to put pressure on that we get one of these soon. But I was excited when I saw the GCMS. So one of the things that is sort of a key to the work that I do when we're looking at an essential oil that's got nothing written about it, and we want to go to herbalism, and herbalism's a good place to go to for Schisandra because it's a really important traditional Chinese medicine. It's interesting to be able to say, well, what does it do in TCM? But then what we need to do is to look at the GCMS and say, well, what constituents are in there? So when we're looking at the Chinese medicine, do we know which constituent is in charge of doing the magic? And so do those pass through distillation to find them in the essential oil? And with Schisandra, I think we do see that. So that's really interesting. It's a very complex essential oil. You can see over 60 different constituents in there. And the ones that are high in the essential oil are the ones that are is good for the magic. Now, the magic is a really specific thing, which is why it's an important herb, in that it is adaptogen. So in the 1960s, for example, the Russians were absolutely fascinated by plants that they saw to be adaptogen, and we'll talk about what adaptogen is in a minute, because they saw these as the secret to being able to win the space race, for their military to be better, and to basically win the Olympics and to overcome America. So I can't see, I think it would be fascinating to see if they're still doing those experiments, if they've started them again, because I think that the relationship between Russia and America is probably quite complicated at the moment. But yeah, in the 1960s, a lot of work was put into understanding adaptogen plants. And incidentally, I wrote a lot about this, and we talk a lot about this in my Holy Basil book, and it's in the Holy Basil video if you want to go deeper. But adaptogen means that it will bring the body back into homeostasis, which is so boring. But so homeostasis is an awful lot of things. So on an ordinary level, it's how we are balanced from a point of view of locomotion, so that we can stand up straight, that we can stand up strong, that our balance is good, that our heart rate is in equilibrium, that we are breathing optimally, and that that our blood sugar and blood pressure are all optimum. So if you imagine, for example, if you are going into space, how that would affect your blood pressure, if nothing else. Being able to find a medicine that is able to make it act as if it was on Earth is impressive. And excuse me. And as I say, holy basil has all of these qualities. But yeah, so has Schisandra. And because of that, then we're able to see that in TCM, they say, well, it's really good for the lungs, it's really good for the heart, it's really good for the brain, it's good for the kidneys, it's good for digestion, it's good for circulation. I mean, it's everything. And the magic that goes from the herb does seem to pass through distillation, as far as I can see. To give a bit of a secret away, this isn't the first time that Adam and I have done this piece of work. We did it for a group, a specialist group for people in doTERRA, people that are selling the essential oils. And at the time, I'd got such a spluttery cough. It's finally gone, thank goodness. But I was really thinking somebody needs to give me this flipping oil, because it is a natural suppressant. So it really helps clear breathing. And also in TCM, they use it for helping with allergies and hay fever and things like that. So I think it's really a piece of magic. But obviously, I can't see any of the spiritual sides on paper. So this guy that came to talk to you about the TCM, did he talk about that to you?
Not so much. He didn't get as spiritual as we probably will as this conversation goes on, and I'll share a little bit about that as well. But I just want to remark back to that point you made about homeostasis being a boring thing, but if you're up in space. But how many of us in everyday life are not in balance? We know that our heart rate probably, we're running on too much adrenaline or too much cortisol, where we don't breathe properly. A lot of us don't breathe properly. I know I breathe shallowly. So I think any support we can get to get us back to balance and harmony is a blessing. So it's almost an oil for everyone, not just astronauts. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, and in terms of homeostasis and adaptogen oils, their primary thing would be for people who have been stressed. Because, as you say, if the longer that you are in a stressed condition, your endocrine system works differently. So, in fact, I mean, I haven't taught it like this for ages, but it's worth saying that cortisol in itself is an anti-inflammatory agent in the body. So, if somebody hurts themselves, cortisol's job is to bring down inflammation so that healing can happen. But if you are continually secreting it into the body and the body becomes like a cortisol ridden mess, what happens is cortisol seems to turn on its axis and then become and then become inflammatory. So, on the easiest situation, what you might see is an explanation for I'm stressed and suddenly I've got eczema all over my body. Cortisol did that. Simple as. Or I am stressed and oh my goodness, my bones really hurt. My arthritis is much, much worse. Cortisol did that. So to be able to bring the body into a situation where it goes, no, that stress is over, we are going to bring it back to how it's supposed to be. Those ramifications of, okay, the eczema hopefully should come down, theoretically it will. The arthritis should start to be less inflamed, less sore, less angry. Theoretically, it should. In terms of people who are reacting to IBS, you get stressed and suddenly the whole digestion goes wrong. Theoretically, with an adaptogen, your body should go and relax and things should calm down. Yeah.
I must say, from my own experience and my own learnings as well, I would say that we often, when we are in those stress states, we kind of are looking for that quick fix to sort us out. So probably so we can get back on the bike and stress ourselves out again. This oil does kind of usher us back into support. Um, would you say it would be a good one for adrenal fatigue as well?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what's happening with the cortisol. Yeah, the adrenals are secreting and secreting and secreting, and to an extent where suddenly the body just goes, I actually can't make this fast enough. I can't secrete enough noradrenaline to calm the parasympathetic down. We can't have rest and restore, and we are completely in a cortisol-ridden mess. So yeah, exactly that.
What I do really like about Schisandra, which I think is really important to grasp how it works on many different levels, though, it's a yin essential oil. So, we may reach for something like ginseng when we're exhausted because we're like, I need more, just give me more power, just let me get through this final week or make it to the weekend, whatever that may be. Whereas Schisandra actually helps to usher you back into homeostasis, into that balance, but helps you retain. And then if you keep working with Schisandra or while you're working with Schisandra, it'll actually help you to restore and nourish your energy rather than give you more energy to just go burn and piss away and do the damage more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I always think it's quite an interesting phenomenon because actually all plant medicine is yin on the scale of things. But as George Orwell might have said, some are more yin than others. And but yeah, it's a long way over the scale, isn't it? And so the more yin that you are, the more passive, the more receptive, and the more able you are to be able to draw up, like magnetize healing to you rather than fighting and kind of careering forward. And of course, nature knows if you have adrenal fatigue, and of course, we should say that doctors don't even admit it's a thing, but we know that it is a thing, that people become so exhausted that they can't function. Of course, we need to stop, right? We need a medicine that will go, you can't do this anymore. You just need to lie down and go to sleep. And while it isn't, as far as I can tell, something that's for insomnia, it is for something that just goes and relax.
Yeah. It's almost like mum telling you to lie on the couch and she's going to make you soup and just lay there and give yourself some time. You don't need to do it today, type of thing. For application of it, I find this is a really great oil for topical use. Now, the kidney meridian, which would be linked to obviously the adrenals and so on, the entry point is, I was going to get my foot up then, but I realized I've got shoes and boots on. It wouldn't quite work. But kind of on the inside of the ankle where the Achilles tendon is connecting to the lower foot, kind of that inside area there. That's the entry point for the that meridian. So massaging it there, I tend to normally just put it on the soles of my feet and my adrenals, but that was somewhere that recently my acupuncturist was saying he would be another piece that would be helpful for that as well. But I find this is a really great oil for just a couple of drops in some carrier oil, like a coconut oil, and just topically using it over, a week to slowly, patiently restore that energy would be a really great way to use it. Any recommendations you'd have, or would you? The other thing I was going to ask you, Liz, is would you pair it with Tulsi?
Don't know because I've never smelt it and I've never felt it, so I couldn't possibly comment on that. Although, while I do love Tulsi, holy basil's are the name, I don't really like the smell, to be honest. So I don't, I can't speak to that at all. What I would say is, just in case people aren't familiar with the Chinese medicine about the kidney meridian, is that every sort of organ in the body has a relationship with an emotion, and the emotion that's connected to the kidney is fear. And fear and the idea that bad things are going to happen is what's driving cortisol. That's the HPA axis. That's exactly what it's driving all the time, that something bad's going to happen. So by being able to calm down and fortify the kidney meridian, it helps us to feel a little bit less frightened and sort of soften into, okay, so calm that nervous system down. So we're looking at it through a different lens. We're not looking at it through a microscope in a laboratory when we're looking at the HPA axis, but it is doing the same thing. It's calming us and saying, just relax for a minute, stop being so worried. I think that's beautiful what you said about the acupressure point.
I'd love to split that with actually Schisandra now and juniper berry, because juniper berry works really well for this meridian and the kidneys as well. I'd say if the fear is something around like something's dreadful is going to happen, or you're feeling threatened, or there's something you've got to confront, it would be really great for that. I get the feeling that Schisandra would be really great for that. We live in a world where we're scared of not doing enough. Does that make sense? Where I know for me, I work a lot. I enjoy my work, but I also have this impending feeling of I need to do something. I need my life to be. I need to make something of my life. I need to be important or relevant. And I'm always worried that I'm going to run out of time. Like I won't get it all done before I die, type of thing. Although I know I've got plenty of time left. So I think that fear of like, why can we not lay down for a week to get ourselves better? Or if I don't get back to work, I'll be replaced, or things will get behind, or it'll all fall apart. But I'm sure we've all noticed, if we've sometimes when I travel and I don't do much for a week and I come back and I'm like, oh, well, didn't really need me that much anyway. So I think Shisandra would be this beautiful, comforting oil just to kind of allow you to, in your work life, in your productive life, do that from a place of joy or a place of, I don't know, contribution, rather than that place of fear where I need to contribute, I need to be relevant, I need to show and prove my importance. And I think Shisandra on that emotional level would be amazing for that.
I think that what you speak to there in terms of feeling like you always have to be busy, I think I definitely identify with that. And I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago we talked about the brow chakra, and I talked about how I use lavender for the brow chakra, because I feel like you need to slow down to be able to receive the messages, the wisdom. So I think no matter how busy you are, you can meditate, but you're not actually going to get the inspiration and stuff that might be available to you as you would get if your mind is quiet. So I think this would be really nice for that. Yeah.
Yeah, chakra wise, you just mentioned the brow chakra. I'd really find this one would work well with the base chakra. In this slightly different way, we're normally talking about woods and roots and very grounding and earthy types of ways. But I think this is a really great one for, again, allowing us to feel safe and secure by maybe relieving or removing some of the pressures away from us and kind of just restoring a bit more of, in a way, it kind of brings a bit of simplicity to life and ticks a few things off the list, or even just shortens the list for you of all the things you need to get done. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I mean, there is a little bit of science that will support this. There's ever such a lot of science done on Schisandra itself, the herb, but there is also some done on the essential oil, presumably because they were trying to find ways to use it as a drug, because why would you not? And particularly on the brain, its effects on the brain. So now this is rats in a forced swimming test, so it's not humans. But they were able to show that Schisandra stopped them, made them less depressed and more able to fight forward. So they swum for longer, they were more confident, they really worked hard at being able to carry on rather than being demoralised by the fact that they could no longer swim.
Sorry to interrupt for just a moment. I hope you're enjoying this episode of Sixth Sense. Now, you're probably getting rather excited about essential oils, and you might be tempted to go out and just grab some. But did you know the essential oil world is not regulated, and a lot of what it says on the label is not governed by anyone? A fun fact, which is not so fun, is that 75% of all oils that are sold as pure, natural, or organic lavender are not even from a plant. So how do you know what's real? Well, I went looking for that question a long time ago, and I found doTERRA to be a really reliable source of high quality essential oils. They don't just test their oils themselves, but at the end of the process, they have an independent third party verify and double check their oils to make sure that you are getting what nature intended purely from the plant. They also source where nature intended the plants to grow as well. If you want to grab hold of some essential oils from doTERRA, then I offer a discount code, and this is available no matter where you are in the world. Now, I don't want everyone to get essential oils. I want everyone to use essential oils. So when you become one of my customers, you get access to me and my VIP education platforms. Ongoing discounts, ongoing freebies, live classes in all time zones all around the world, and so much more. So if you're interested in getting some essential oils that you know are really from nature, and this is important not only physically, but metaphysically as well, please reach out in the links below.
One of the reasons that perhaps there's so much science going on is because they've established that this anti-inflammatory effect has an effect on Alzheimer's and can actually help to improve cognition and help to improve memory in people who have got Alzheimer's disease, because it actually helps to reduce some of the inflammation that's in the brain. So it enhances focus, it enhances clarity, it enhances memory. So you can see, I mean, this would be so good for a spy, right? But this, all of these things look like they may lead to medicines for Alzheimer's in the future.
Now, a couple of other things I will throw in about the physicality. People have found that just using a little bit dabbed around the eyes can help with eyesight, and put around the back base of the ears can actually help a little bit with improving hearing. So it isn't really well, I guess it's got 5 flavors. It's going to have multiple uses as an essential oil as well. The other thing I find, it does have this kind of, I want to stick with that. It's definitely a yin oil, but it has almost like this yin dragon essential oil to it. So again, dragons, we think of this fiery kind of yang energy, but it's almost like nurturing that power within without that need to show one's power. And I think, you often see people that have to vomit their power over everyone to prove how powerful they are. And there's others that can hold it. And I think Schisandra would really help you in that way as well. Another way that we can use it spiritually, people use it for cleansing space, for helping to remove unwanted energy around full moons. And I think just recently we had a blood full moon. And I think, being a red berry, I love to use my red kind of oils around the blood full moon. Rose gets a good workout around that time. But I think Schisandra would be another one that you might go, okay, because it's a rarer oil, it's a bit of a special occasion oil. It would be a really great one to use around full moons and cleansing space or preparing space, but also empowering that yin energy, empowering that lunar energy, so that you can work the magic and really connect with what's important to you on that blood moon or on a full moon ritual or working or healing as well. So I think it's got some really interesting spiritual aspects as well.
I love that. I can't speak to the safety of this oil because I can't see that there's anything written, but I can't see that there's anything really that I would particularly be worried about. In fact, if we look at the chemical breakdown, between 75 to 80% are sesquiterpenes, which is so soothing to the brain, so soothing to the nervous system. We have got about 15 to 20% monoterpenes, though, so that suggests to me that it may have quite a short shelf life, but I don't know. Is anything said about that in doTERRA?
Not that I know of. Not that that's been spoken specifically about that beyond the normal expiry dates that they have on their bottles. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've got any limonene in there. So limonene would be the one that I would be most worried about because that decays quite quickly and you would need an antioxidant in there. But I think it's a really nice oil, but costly, I think, Ad, is it?
Yeah, it is. For 5 mils at the moment, the price is around $270, which is extremely expensive for an oil. But this is the first time it's been released as an essential oil in the world. And I think I'm thinking of a house plant called a ZZ plant that we have here that has these beautiful black leaves. And when they first came on the market, they're very expensive. Now you can go down to the local nursery because they're everywhere and get them for really cheap. So whenever something is just in development, you will pay a premium price for it. That for that reason, it's not an oil I'd use every day at that price. But if it was the price of lavender, then I would probably use this on a regular occasion to support that. And maybe, hopefully, this video and other people's demand for it may grow the industry, that there is a bigger demand for it. And we'll see more of Schisandra in the future, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, it does remind me of the old saying about neural science and dementia and things like that. Use it or lose it. I guess if people don't buy it, it will go and it won't get developed. So I think it's worthwhile to encourage it. You can obviously get it in Australia. Do you know if it's available worldwide?
Not at the moment because it's only coming out in small runs. If people are interested, my contact details are down below and they can get their hot little hands on it. But in markets like Europe or like America, to have enough to serve that whole market, you obviously need a bigger batch than you do to just keep the Australians or the New Zealanders happy. So it will come out. Who knows? But popularity and demand really drive that, and that's why education like this is really important, so people know what do we do with this oil with a funny name, type of thing.
And so, is it intended to be a limited supply or ongoing? Do you know?
I guess what happened is it's come out as one. It came out as a couple of runs in China. It's come back for a second year in China as a limited run, and we've had it for a first release in Australia. So, but I know that the run that we had, we've sold about 95% of it already. So it's people
Oh,
are
really?
people are open to it. Do you know what I mean? So again, because people like yourself were so gracious to help us educate, and Dr. Wu in Melbourne. And that when people know what to do with an essential oil, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, they then see the value of it and want to work with it.
Yeah, so I think just from a watching point of view, so if you have found this, if we're speaking to the you of the future and you're thinking, well, when did we do this video? September 25. So this is when we're recording that. So is it still available? Be interesting to know. So Adam, can they get it from you? So for example, if I wanted to get some in the UK, can we do it through you in Australia? How does that work?
You most certainly can. I run a bit of a black market scheme where I do, if people need to get oils from Australia, then yep, you can't buy it directly from doTERRA if you're in Europe or America. But I'm happy to pop some in the mail for you. That's not a problem at all. So yes, there is still a way that people can get their hands on it.
So what do we do? Just contact you directly, or is there like a code?
No, contact me on the details down below, and we can organise it. Yeah, and I would have to personally ship it to you, but that's easily done. And I've already done that for a few special customers that have asked already. So yes, we can definitely do that.
Excellent. I have nothing else to say about Schisandra. Do you?
Well, my final question, because we are doing a Fellowship of Essential Oils episode, is we've talked about chakra, and I'm putting it on the base chakra. I don't know if you have any chakra opinions, or from just our discussion today, what vibe do you get planetary-wise?
Oh gosh, you should have warned me you were going to ask that. I don't know the answer to that at all. But I do know that in TCM they say it balances Jing, which is the treasure of the internal sexual force, the vitality of the body. Jing Shen, which is the spirit, and Qi, which is the life force, which to me says that it probably harmonizes all of the chakras. I really want to get some so that I can try it, but to me that it seems to have a harmonizing effect. Gosh, what would I say in terms? I wouldn't have a clue in terms of planets. Tell me.
You know, I'm drawn to it's an unusual one. You could definitely be a lunar oil, but I also like to work with it in a Mars respect of kind of balancing out that Mars energy a bit. You know, normally I would associate ginseng and ginger and cinnamon and all those real fiery ones with Mars. But you know, Mars for me is not just that warring drive, it's also that determination. And I think sometimes we might want to work with a more sustained aspect of Mars. And so I would, when working with our Mars astrology in respect, I would probably go, well, hold on, maybe we could use this as a counter oil to sustain what ginger or cinnamon or ginseng might bring in. Does that make sense?
It does, and it's made me think of something else that we're going to talk about in the near future. I think that this would be useful to have to be classified under Eris,
Mm.
goddess of strife, goddess of chaos. That times in life where we have life thrown in the air, and we're like, what on earth just happened to me? And it can be so discombobulating, and you need to be able to draw everything back together. To me, on paper, I would have thought this would make quite a good Eris oil, but don't go there, because we're going to talk about it in the next few weeks, and we'll be able to reflect on it then, I guess.
No, I think you've got a very valid point there, and I'm changing my mind as we chat.
No, don't you dare. Don't you dare come on to the next episode and go, Schisandra would be wonderful for Eris.
So it's a question that I ask all the time. Does everyone need it? I think everyone would benefit from having this essential oil, but obviously at this price point, at this point in time, it's not that accessible. But I think with so many people being driven and working so hard and falling out of balance, out of harmony, out of homeostasis, hopefully it's an oil that will increase in availability and more people can benefit from its beautiful harmonizing effects. What essential oil will we talk about next? Well, we said we were doing 100 episodes and this is 101. If there's one that we didn't do and you really can't sleep at night because of it, just reach out to us and let us know, and we'll squeeze in another episode when we can and dive in deep to an essential oil. But make sure that you do subscribe to our pages, you do share and like all these, because the little robots and the algorithms like that, and it means that you won't miss out on a little or an inch of essential oil knowledge. We'll talk to you very soon about the magic of Mother Nature and her essential oils. Until then, take care and blessed be.
Bye-bye.
I'm Elizabeth Ashley, UK Director for the National Association of Holistic Aromatherapy and founder of the Aromatic Mystery School, where essential oils meet the deeper, more mystical side of healing. Here you'll explore the spiritual, emotional and energetic dimensions of plants and learn how to weave them into your own rituals and well-being practices. If you're ready to work in a way that nourishes both your soul and your senses, join us at the Aromatic Mystery School. The link's right below.